Ladies and gentlemen, we often speak openly about the qualities we want in a partner: kindness, honesty, attraction, ambition. But beneath those surface level answers lies a deeper, often unspoken truth. Today, we'll uncover not just what men and women say they want, but what they secretly crave. This is a dual point of view, because desire may be universal, but how it's expressed isn't always the same. Let's begin with men. Beyond the bravado, beyond the social expectations to be stoic and self-sufficient, men are quietly yearning for something far more human, to be understood without judgment. Many men secretly wish for a partner who sees the boy beneath the man, the fears he doesn't voice, the pressure he quietly bears, the failures he hides even from himself. It's not just about being admired. It's about being emotionally safe, a place where he doesn't have to perform, where his vulnerability is not seen as weakness but as a bridge to intimacy. Now, let's shift to women. What women secretly want isn't simply romance or chivalry. Those are nice, yes, but deeper than that, women want to be chosen, not just loved, chosen fully, repeatedly, in public and in private. They want to feel that their partner sees their complexity, their strength, their softness, their chaos, their calm, and still says, yes, you. Women are tired of competing with the world for their partner's attention. They want to feel like the safest place for their partner and the most valued one. But here's where it gets powerful. Both men and women often want the same things, but rarely say them aloud. Emotional safety, loyalty that doesn't waver in the storms, a partner who listens not to fix, but to feel, appreciation not just for what they do, but who they are. These aren't gender-specific desires. These are human longings. Men may secretly want affirmation, not just that they're doing well, but that they're enough, that their efforts are seen, their love is felt, and their presence matters. Women may secretly want emotional leadership, not dominance, but initiative. A willingness to grow, to apologize, to initiate the hard conversations, and to meet her emotionally, not just physically. The truth is, we're all taught how to attract, but not how to understand. We're told to impress, not to connect. So we enter relationships armed with expectations but not empathy, with standards but not self-awareness. And perhaps that's what we all secretly want: a partner who's doing the inner work, who brings presence, not just presents. Who doesn't just ask, what do you want to eat, but also, what's been weighing on your heart? Who doesn't just say, I love you, but shows it in the quietest, most meaningful ways, by remembering the little things, by staying through the mess, by seeing us fully when we feel most invisible. So, what do men and women secretly want in a partner? Maybe it's to stop keeping secrets. Maybe it's to be fully known and loved anyway. Men are often raised in environments that emphasize toughness, stoicism, and emotional control. From a young age, they're taught, sometimes subtly, sometimes directly, that vulnerability is risky, that showing too much feeling is a sign of weakness, and that their worth is tied to performance, provision, and strength. This conditioning builds a kind of emotional armor, which can protect them in the outside world, but often isolates them in intimate relationships. Underneath that exterior, many men carry a deep longing to be understood without being judged, to be seen beyond what they do, and to be accepted for who they are when they're not trying to impress anyone. What men secretly crave in a partner is emotional safety, the sense that they can take off the armor and be met not with critique or indifference, but with compassion and curiosity. They want to feel that they don't have to always be strong, that it's okay to be unsure, to struggle, to not have it all figured out. They want to be able to share their insecurities, their doubts, their past failures, and even their emotional wounds without feeling like those admissions will be used against them. This is rarely expressed openly, not because men don't feel it, but because they're not often given the language or encouragement to say it out loud. Society has conditioned many men to seek approval through competence and control, so asking for emotional support can feel like foreign territory. Yet when a partner offers a space where emotional expression is welcomed, where listening replaces judgment, where softness is not mistaken for weakness, and where pain isn't dismissed, something powerful happens. The man begins to relax into the relationship, not as a provider or protector, but as a whole human being. He no longer feels like he has to prove his worth every day to be loved. He no longer fears that showing fear will make him less attractive or respected. Emotional safety allows for a deeper kind of connection, one where words are not always needed, because presence and acceptance do the heavy lifting. A man may still fulfill traditional roles of strength and support, but when he's with someone who provides that rare gift of emotional safety, he starts to bring more of himself to the relationship. He becomes more affectionate, more expressive, more open, because he's no longer hiding behind performance. In this kind of dynamic, the relationship becomes a sanctuary rather than another battleground. It becomes a place of restoration instead of silent suffering. The walls come down not because they were forcibly removed, but because trust was built slowly and sincerely. This need to be emotionally safe is not about weakness, it's about the courage to be real. It's about the need to be loved in the spaces that are usually hidden. Men may not always say it directly, but in their silences, in their subtle retreats, in their unspoken hesitations, they are often waiting to see if it's finally safe to be fully seen. Women often express the desire to be loved, but beneath that surface lies a deeper and more powerful need to be chosen, not just once in the beginning, but continuously and deliberately in the small moments and in the big ones. This longing is rarely verbalized directly because it's tied to emotional vulnerability, a fear of seeming too needy, or of being seen as high maintenance. But at the heart of many of their emotional responses lies this silent question: am I still the one you choose? Am I still your priority, even when life gets complicated, even when you're tired, even when no one is watching? For many women, love is not measured only in words or grand gestures, but in consistent presence, unwavering attention, and quiet reassurance. They want to feel that they are not an option, not a placeholder, not someone who can be overlooked or replaced when distractions come along. They want to feel secure in their place in their partner's life, not by being told, but by being shown. The act of choosing can take many forms. It's putting the phone down during a conversation, making her feel heard without interruption, remembering the little details she shared in passing, and showing up not just physically, but emotionally. It's prioritizing emotional check-ins, staying engaged in the relationship even after the honeymoon phase ends, and making intentional efforts to connect deeply. When a woman feels consistently chosen, she opens up in ways that are often astonishing. She becomes more nurturing, more giving, more supportive because she no longer feels the need to protect herself from inconsistency or rejection. Her defenses drop, her softness returns, and she begins to trust the relationship as a space where she doesn't have to compete for attention. This desire to be chosen doesn't stem from insecurity, but from the natural human need to feel significant to someone. Women want to be more than just loved when it's easy. They want to be chosen even when it's hard, when they're emotional, when they're misunderstood, when they're not at their best. They long for a partner who remains emotionally present, who doesn't disappear behind silence or distractions, who doesn't treat love like a convenience or a temporary state. Many women feel emotionally unsafe when they have to constantly wonder where they stand, or when they feel they are being compared to unrealistic ideals or outside temptations. Being chosen reaffirms their worth, not in a possessive or controlling way, but in a way that validates their place in someone's heart without conditions. They want to see that their partner actively chooses to invest time, energy, and intention into the relationship. That choice builds trust more than any promise ever can. When women are fully chosen, it calms the anxiety that comes from inconsistency and unclear emotional signals. It allows them to stop asking unspoken questions and start living from a place of emotional security and peace. They are not seeking perfection from their partner, but they are quietly hoping to be prioritized in a world full of distractions and shifting attention. Both men and women share a deep, unspoken longing to be valued not just for what they do, but for who they are at their core. In the rush of daily life and societal roles, people often get praised or appreciated based on their achievements, responsibilities, or the roles they fulfill. Men are applauded for providing, for being strong, for solving problems. Women are acknowledged for nurturing, supporting, organizing, and holding everything together. While these contributions are meaningful, they often overshadow the inner world of the individual. Their emotions, struggles, dreams, fears, and the essence of their being that exists beyond functionality. What people secretly want is to be appreciated in a way that affirms their inner self, not just their outward actions. They want to be recognized when they're trying but not succeeding, when they're present even if not perfect, when they offer their heart in subtle ways that may not be loud or dramatic. This kind of appreciation builds intimacy because it requires genuine attentiveness and emotional presence. It's about noticing the silent efforts, the emotional labor, the small compromises, the gentle moments of support that aren't always visible or celebrated. When someone feels appreciated for who they are inside, not just how they serve or what they accomplish, they feel seen in a way that goes beyond the surface. They feel emotionally validated, which creates a powerful bond between partners. Men may not always articulate it, but they want to be more than a paycheck or a problem solver. They want their inner world to be understood, the pressure they feel, the doubts they hide, the emotional nuances they often suppress. When a partner sees past the tough exterior and appreciates the sensitive, loyal, and deeply emotional parts of them, they begin to feel safe and connected. Women, on the other hand, want to be acknowledged beyond their caregiving or emotional support roles. They want to be seen as full individuals with inner complexities, not just as someone who holds the relationship or household together. They crave appreciation for their thoughts, their emotional intelligence, their inner resilience, and the ways they bring warmth and depth to a connection. Appreciation of the inner world brings a level of emotional intimacy that is impossible to fake. It means seeing the soul, not just the service. It means recognizing the quiet strength behind the smile, the courage behind the kindness, the vulnerability behind the silence. It means being present enough to say, I see you, not just when someone does something impressive, but even when they are simply being themselves. This kind of connection is rare because it requires slowing down, paying attention, and valuing authenticity over performance. But when both partners feel appreciated not just for their roles, but for their real selves, it creates a love that doesn't just survive, it grows deeper over time. It builds a foundation of mutual respect and emotional safety, where both people feel like they matter beyond their output or image, and that kind of bond is what makes relationships truly lasting and meaningful. Unspoken needs in relationships often carry more emotional weight than the ones openly discussed, and these quiet longings tend to reflect shared human desires that exist beneath the surface of gender roles. Men and women are frequently conditioned by culture, family, and media to express their needs in ways that align with stereotypes, but underneath that conditioning, many of their core emotional desires are remarkably similar. While society tends to highlight the differences between male and female expectations in love, the truth is that most people want to feel safe, valued, and emotionally connected. They want their feelings to matter, their efforts to be seen, and their presence to be cherished. What complicates things is that these shared desires are often hidden behind layers of social pressure, personal fear, and communication gaps. For example, A man may express his need for space or independence when what he truly wants is to be accepted without the pressure to perform constantly. A woman might express frustration over a lack of communication when what she deeply needs is reassurance and presence. These needs often get lost in translation because the language of vulnerability isn't something most people are taught. Both men and women sometimes mask their true emotional needs behind defensiveness, silence, or over-explaining. Instead of saying, "I need to feel secure with you," they argue about time spent together. Instead of saying, "I want to know that I matter," they focus on chores or tasks being overlooked. This misalignment between expression and desire creates a disconnect that makes relationships feel more difficult than they really are. If these hidden needs were openly acknowledged without fear of judgment or rejection, many relationships would become more emotionally fulfilling and resilient. People would stop trying to win love through perfection and start experiencing love through authenticity. Recognizing that both partners want to be accepted for who they are, not for a version of themselves that fits an ideal, brings deeper empathy into the relationship. When couples begin to see that their partner's unspoken needs are not so different from their own, the walls begin to lower. The defensiveness fades, and connection takes the place of confusion. It becomes less about who is right and more about how each person feels heard and understood. The realization that emotional needs are not gendered but human allows for more honest and supportive relationships. Men want comfort, tenderness, and emotional depth as much as women do. Women want reliability, emotional presence, and safety just as deeply. These needs are not opposites, they are reflections of the same human desire to feel valued and secure. When both partners stop hiding their longings and start recognizing the universal nature of those needs, relationships shift from conflict to connection. It becomes easier to offer patience, to listen with care, and to show up for one another in more meaningful ways. Emotional intimacy grows when both partners feel safe enough to voice what they usually keep inside, and when they realize that wanting to be loved deeply, truly, and without condition is not a weakness but a shared truth. True connection in a relationship does not begin with grand gestures or flawless communication. It begins when both partners feel genuinely seen, heard, and safe to be vulnerable. Vulnerability is often misunderstood as weakness, but in reality, it is the foundation of emotional intimacy. When people feel emotionally safe, they are more willing to open up, to be honest about their fears, their insecurities, and their needs without worrying about being judged or dismissed. This kind of emotional environment does not happen by accident. It's built through consistency, trust, and a willingness to listen with the intent to understand rather than to fix or critique. When someone knows they can express themselves and be met with empathy rather than defense, they begin to bring more of their authentic self into the relationship. They no longer feel the need to hide behind emotional masks or pretend everything is okay when it's not. This emotional transparency creates space for real intimacy, the kind that deepens over time and weathers challenges with grace. Feeling seen means being recognized for who you are beyond your roles or your performance. It's when your partner notices the small things that matter to you, when they understand your triggers, your joys, and your silent battles without needing everything to be spelled out. It's when you don't have to constantly explain yourself because there is a shared emotional language being built between you. Feeling heard means more than just someone nodding while you speak. It means your voice carries weight in the relationship, your emotions are acknowledged, and your perspective is treated with respect, even if it differs. It's the difference between passive listening and active engagement. When someone truly listens, they respond not just with words, but with actions that reflect what you've shared. Feeling safe is the invisible thread that holds the emotional fabric of a relationship together. Safety isn't just physical, it's emotional. It's knowing you won't be mocked, belittled, or dismissed for expressing your truth. It's feeling secure that your partner won't weaponize your vulnerability later in an argument or betray your trust by using your openness against you. This kind of safety creates a powerful feedback loop. The more safe you feel, the more open you become, and the more open you become, the deeper the connection grows. When both people in a relationship feel this emotional safety, the relationship becomes a refuge, not a battleground. It becomes a place to recharge, to express without fear, and to explore life's challenges together rather than alone. This emotional environment encourages growth, both individually and as a couple. It leads to more honest communication, more empathy, and a stronger bond that isn't easily shaken by external pressures. Real love flourishes in this space because it is no longer based on roles or expectations, but on mutual understanding and respect. Each person becomes a mirror that reflects the other's humanity, and through that reflection, they both feel more whole.